Welcome to Life Stories. Imagine walking into the first day of your dream job, ready to lead, only to have the people you're about to command surround you, doubt you, and threaten to take you down before you've even stepped through the door. This isn't just a story about a new boss. It's about a woman who stood face to face with a wall of prejudice, power, and silence, and decided she would not back down. What happens when the truth collides with a system built to bury it? And how far would you go if doing the right thing meant risking everything you've worked for? This is a journey through confrontation, betrayal, and an unshakable fight for integrity, where every choice comes with a price, and every victory changes the battlefield. Now, let me take you to the morning it all began. The sun was just cresting over the sleepy streets of Brookhaven when Alexis Carter pulled her silver sedan into the nearly empty lot behind the police station. The air was crisp, the kind that carries every sound like a secret. Her heels clicked sharply against the concrete, echoing in the stillness. She wore no uniform today, only a fitted black blazer and dark slacks, her gold star badge tucked discreetly in her jacket pocket. It was her first day as chief of the Brookhaven Police Department, a position she had clawed her way toward over 2 decades in military policing, homicide investigations, and leadership roles. She had weathered sexism, racism, and politics sharpened like knives. She thought she was ready for anything, but not for this. From somewhere behind her, a voice cut the quiet like a whip. "Hey, stop right there!" The tone was sharp, commanding, already carrying judgment. Alexis turned slowly. Officer Mark Stevens, tall, broad-shouldered, his hand brushing the grip of his holstered weapon, was striding toward her. 2 others flanked him, Officer Carla Chin, her expression laced with disdain, and Officer Brandon Lee, younger, eyes darting as if searching for a safe place to land. "This is a restricted area," Stevens barked, stopping just a few feet away. "You need to move along." His gaze swept over her in a slow, deliberate inventory. Skin tone, civilian clothes, posture. The verdict was written across his face. "You don't belong here." "I work here," Alexis said evenly. "I have business inside." Stevens' laugh was low, cold. "Lady, this isn't your neighborhood. This is a police station." "I know exactly what it is." Chen stepped forward, her voice dripping with condescension. "Sweetheart, if you've got a complaint, front entrance is that way. This door's for staff only." "I am staff," Alexis replied. The 2 exchanged a glance before laughing. Stevens' smirk tightened. "Right. And I'm the mayor. Let's see some ID." Alexis reached into her jacket and withdrew her badge and credentials, holding them steady in the morning light. "Here." Stevens barely looked. "Fake. Seen it before. People think they can waltz in here, pretend they're cops. It's a felony." Chin crossed her arms. "You've got 10 seconds to walk away, or you're under arrest for trespassing and impersonating an officer." Brandon shifted uncomfortably. Alexis saw it, the flicker of conscience, but Stevens shut him down with a single glare. She didn't raise her voice. "Are you sure you want to do this?" Stevens took a step closer, hands still near his weapon. "This ends now." Alexis held his gaze, her tone steady. "I'm going inside." And she walked past them. His voice followed her, hard and clipped. "Don't you walk away from me. That's obstruction." She stopped just long enough to glance over her shoulder. "Do you treat all women like this, or just the black ones?" The air shifted. Chin's smirk faltered. Stevens' jaw clenched. Somewhere across the lot, a man walking his dog raised his phone, recording. Alexis didn't flinch. She moved forward, opened the staff entrance, and the door clicked shut behind her. Small sound, heavy impact. 2 hours later, the station's briefing room was packed with 25 officers, from patrol to detectives. Conversations died as the door opened. Alexis walked in, now in full dress uniform, gold stars gleaming. Silence swept the room like a tide. Stevens went pale. Chin's eyes widened. Brandon lowered his gaze. "Good morning," Alexis began, voice calm but carrying weight. "I'm Chief Alexis Carter. As of today, I'm in command of this station." She let the silence stretch until it was taut. "I didn't get here because of my race or gender. I got here because I've earned it. But I know some of you will question my authority, not because of my qualifications, but because I don't fit your idea of what a chief should look like." Her gaze cut toward Stevens, holding just long enough for the message to land. Then came the statistics: crime rates, citizen complaints, trust levels in free fall. Headlines flashed: lawsuits, brutality claims, demands for reform. She told them about her brother Michael. 8 years on the job, spotless record, until he reported an officer for using excessive force on a handcuffed suspect. He did the right thing, she said quietly, and it cost him everything. No backup on calls, reports torn apart, promotions denied, until he walked away from the job he loved. Her voice sharpened. That's what happens when loyalty matters more than integrity. That ends now. The room shifted uneasily. Some looked away. Some straightened in their chairs. Stevens's ears flushed red. Hours later, alone in her new office, Alexis queued up the parking lot footage from the station's security cameras. She watched the confrontation in crisp black and white, every sneer, every dismissive gesture preserved. She saved the file. She didn't know when she'd need it, only that she would. A knock at the door. Brandon stepped in, hesitant. Chief, about this morning. I should have stopped them. I didn't. I was scared. His voice was low, ashamed. I wanted to help people when I joined, but I haven't. Not really. Alexis studied him. Young, idealistic once, maybe still salvageable. You can keep being the kind of cop who stays quiet, she said, or you can be the kind who stands up for what's right even when it's hard. I won't let you down. Don't promise. Just do better tomorrow than you did today. That night, the mayor called. His voice was tight, rehearsed. There's a video. It's all over social media. They're calling it racial profiling. I need you to keep this quiet while we manage the optics. Alexis' pulse hammered. Optics? 3 of your officers profiled their own chief on day 1. Think about your career, he said. The threat was soft but sharp. She hung up without agreeing. Her phone buzzed again. A text from an unknown number. Saw the video. Thank you for not backing down. Another, my daughter wants to be a cop like you when she grows up. Alexis stared at the messages, then reached for her phone again, this time dialing the local news. This is Chief Carter. I'd like to schedule an interview. The camera lights were hot, the studio quiet but charged. Chief Carter, the reporter began, what happened in that parking lot? Alexis met the lens head on. 3 officers saw a black woman in civilian clothes and assumed she didn't belong. They made decisions based on how I looked, not who I am. That's not just about me. It's about how they see the people they're sworn to serve. And in that moment, somewhere deep in the undercurrent of the department, the first fault lines began to crack. Do you believe courage can truly change a broken system? Or will the system always try to break those who challenge it? If you were in Alexis's place, would you risk your career to confront the truth head on? Because what happened next would force her to decide if she was willing to lose everything to save what mattered most. The morning after her televised interview, the station felt different. Not quieter, not calmer, but sharper, like the whole building was holding its breath. Whispers followed Alexis down the hall. Glances darted away when she looked up. Some were curious, others cold. Brandon caught her eye from across the bullpen and gave the smallest nod, a signal of quiet solidarity, but she could feel the resistance thickening around her. She had stirred something, and now it was awake. By noon, her secretary buzzed in. Chief, there's someone here to see you. Says it's urgent. The man who stepped into her office was in a tailored suit, mid-50s, the kind of face you recognize from news segments about corruption and city contracts. Chief Carter, he said smoothly, I represent the Brookhaven Police Union. His name was Robert Kane, a lawyer with a reputation for winning ugly fights. I thought we should talk about your recent media statements. He set a folder on her desk. These officers, Stevens, Chin, are decorated, long-serving members of this department. Your accusations have already caused them considerable distress. His smile was practiced like a blade hidden in silk. If this continues, the union will be forced to consider legal action against you. Alexis leaned back in her chair, folding her hands. If they broke the law or violated policy, they'll be held accountable. That's my job. Kane tilted his head. Sometimes, Chief, keeping the peace inside your own walls is just as important as what happens outside them. Her jaw tightened. Peace built on silence isn't peace at all. It's rot. He stood, smoothing his jacket. Then I suppose we'll see how long you can keep that position, Chief Carter. When he left, Alexis stayed still, staring at the closed door. She'd expected pushback, but this was a declaration. They weren't just resisting change. They were preparing for war. That evening, Brandon knocked softly and slipped into her office. "Chief, I think you should see this." He handed her a USB drive. "Anonymous drop in my locker. No note, just this." They plugged it in, the screen filling with grainy body cam footage. Stevens and Chen on a traffic stop from 6 months earlier. A young Latino driver, nervous but compliant, was ordered out of the car, searched without cause, mocked for his accent. It was ugly. It was policy breaking, and it had been buried. Alexis felt her stomach twist. This wasn't just about her confrontation in the parking lot anymore. This was a pattern, deliberate and protected. But there was more. The last clip on the drive wasn't a traffic stop. It was inside the station locker room. Stevens, Chen, and 2 other officers were laughing about the new chief before she'd even arrived. The words were coarse, laced with slurs, dripping with contempt. One line froze her blood. "She won't last 6 months. We'll make sure of it." She clicked the screen dark and sat back. Her mind was a storm. Rage, resolve, a gnawing awareness of what coming after them would cost her. In her first week, she'd already been asked to stay silent by the mayor, threatened by the union, and now handed proof that her own officers were conspiring to take her down. The easy path would be to lock it away, use it as leverage quietly, bargain her way through the minefield. But easy had never been her way, and it wasn't why she wore the badge. That night, Alexis called Michael. She told him about the footage, the threats. There was a pause, and when he spoke, his voice carried the weight of someone who'd already paid the price she might soon pay. "Lex, they will come for you. They will smear you, isolate you, make you doubt yourself. But if you bury this, you'll carry it for the rest of your life, and it will eat you alive." She closed her eyes. "I know." "Then the question isn't if you can win," Michael said. "It's whether you can live with yourself if you lose." The next morning, she placed the USB drive in a sealed evidence bag and carried it down the hall, not to Internal Affairs, but to the state attorney's office. The assistant attorney's eyes widened when he saw her. "Chief Carter, this is going to blow up your department." "Maybe it needs to," she said. By midday, the whispers in the station had turned into stares. Stevens wasn't in uniform, suspended pending investigation. Chen's desk was empty. Kane called twice. She didn't answer. The mayor's voicemail was short, tight, promising a serious conversation. Alexis walked past it all, her uniform crisp, her stride steady, even as she felt the weight of the storm gathering over her head. She didn't know who had left that drive in Brandon's locker. She didn't know who she could truly trust. But she knew one thing with absolute clarity. She had just crossed the point of no return. If you were in Alexis's position, would you have turned over the footage knowing it could dismantle your own department? Because the next move her enemies made would be the one she never saw coming. The subpoenas went out faster than Alexis expected. One morning the station was tense but functional. The next it was a battlefield of whispered accusations, slamming locker doors and the metallic scent of panic. Federal agents arrived quietly, moving with the precision of people who had done this before. Boxes of files were carried out. Hard drives disappeared into evidence bags. The investigation that had started with a single parking lot confrontation now stretched back years, peeling away layers of misconduct like rot beneath paint. Alexis knew what it meant. This wasn't just about a few bad officers anymore. It was about the culture that had allowed them to thrive. And that meant she wasn't just up against Stevens, Chen, or the union. She was up against the whole system. The mayor called her in that afternoon. His office smelled faintly of stale coffee and political desperation. "You've gone too far," Mayor Thompson said, his voice low but shaking. "You've turned this department into a circus. Do you have any idea how many lawsuits are about to hit this city?" Alexis stayed standing. "Maybe the lawsuits are the point. Maybe they're overdue." His eyes narrowed. "You think the council will protect you when the budget explodes? They'll cut you loose. You'll be a footnote in a scandal they'll rewrite to make themselves look clean." She didn't answer. She didn't need to. They both knew she'd already made her choice. 3 weeks later, Stevens and Chen sat in a federal courtroom, their lawyers spinning hard, but the body cam footage was too clear, the paper trail too long. Brandon testified, his voice steady despite the way his hands shook when he left the stand. Alexis testified too. She didn't embellish. She didn't editorialize. She just told the truth. And the truth was enough. The verdict came fast, guilty on multiple counts of civil rights violations. They would never wear a badge again. But victory didn't feel like she thought it would. That night she drove home through Brookhaven's quiet streets, past shuttered shops and the old diner where patrol officers used to eat for free. She knew some residents still saw her as a hero, others as a destroyer. Both views lived side by side in the same city, like oil and water that would never mix. The next morning, the city council convened behind closed doors. By afternoon, Alexis was called in and handed a choice disguised as mercy: resign quietly with a letter that praised her service, or be removed for failure to maintain departmental stability. It wasn't a surprise. Change had come, but it had come too fast for the people who feared it most. She sat in her office for hours after they left, looking at the framed photo of her and Michael in their academy uniforms. She thought of what he told her: if you bury it, you'll carry it forever. She hadn't buried it, and though it cost her, she could still meet her own eyes in the mirror. When Brandon came in, he saw the resignation letter half finished on her desk. If you go, everything you built here. He stopped, searching for the right words. It doesn't end with me, Alexis said softly. It ends when the people who come after me stop caring. He shook his head. You made me care, Chief, and a lot of others too. You planted something here. Even if they push you out, it's not going away. 2 days later, Alexis stood outside the station one last time, the same staff entrance where Stevens had stopped her months ago. The winter air bit at her cheeks, but she stood still, letting the moment settle. Inside, some officers were relieved she was gone. Others avoided her gaze out of shame or loyalty they couldn't risk showing. Brandon met her at the curb, his new sergeant's badge gleaming. We'll keep going, he promised. She nodded. Make sure you do. She drove out of Brookhaven without a siren, without ceremony. The city skyline shrank in her rearview mirror, replaced by open road. For the first time in months, she let herself think about something other than the fight. About Michael's laugh, about the citizens who had written to her, about the young woman who'd messaged that she wanted to be a police officer because of her. Months later, she stood on a stage in Washington, accepting an award from a civil rights organization. The applause washed over her, but what mattered was the line of young cadets waiting to shake her hand afterward. One of them, a young black woman with steady eyes, said, I saw the video. You made me believe I could do this. Alexis smiled, not for the cameras, but for the quiet truth between them. Change didn't always look like a victory parade. Sometimes it looked like a single person deciding to stand when it would be easier to sit down. Sometimes it looked like hope passed from one set of hands to another. She never went back to Brookhaven, but she didn't have to. The culture was shifting, slowly but surely. Brandon sent her updates, community meetings that drew crowds, fewer complaints, more officers willing to speak out. The seeds had taken root. One night back home, Alexis sat on her porch as the sun set, phone in hand. She dialed Michael. I didn't win the way I thought I would, she said. He was quiet for a moment, then replied, maybe you did. Maybe winning just means you left it better than you found it. She thought about that as the sky darkened. She didn't know where the next fight would be, only that there would be one. But she would be there, ready, wearing the same quiet conviction she'd carried since that first day in the parking lot. She'd lost her badge in Brookhaven, but she hadn't lost herself. And that, she realized, was the one victory no one could take from her. What did this story make you feel about justice, courage, and the cost of standing up for what's right? Comment 100 if you enjoyed this story. Where are you watching from? Share this video with your friends. Thank you for watching Life Stories.